I hoped I might catch the end of Blessing Ganesh, but
I mean, I could bring him back. Should we begin?
can we say, yeah, go on. Introduce him. Hi.
Hi.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultures coming together,
Mm,
a lot of traditions.
yeah.
One, I got this one
Um,
in India in the beginning of last year. And I went, there's a big temple. I was in Tiruvannamalai, which is
yeah,
a very holy place. I don't know if you're familiar.
I haven't
Incredible.
been. Mm,
And there's a really big Ganesh temple, purely just for
mm,
Ganesh. And so I got to buy a few little Ganeshes, and I went and I blessed the little ones with the big one to, transmit the energy, and then I gifted most of them
mm.
to friends
That's so
to
nice.
bring
Good
protection.
ritual.
Yeah.
Um, I I love what you're saying, and I'll just repeat it because I hit record right after you said it that you like to light a candle to kind of open the container and to have this ritual of starting. Um, and uh, yeah, it came up in my life maybe 2 or 3 days ago as well. Somebody was like, you know what? There's like these really beautiful rituals of arriving in places, and I think it's the kind of thing that unless you like focus on it, or unless you're moving a lot and going to a lot of different places, it can
Mm,
kind of go over your head.
yeah.
Um, how did you find it? Like, has this always just been something that you wanted to do? That you had the feeling of going? Because you seem to move a lot and pick up uh, practices and ways and beautiful things all over the place.
Mm. Yeah, there's something about ritual that brings sacredness to every moment.
Mm.
And I have noticed a lot of elders and, ancestors and people that I really am inspired by. I notice them, I've always noticed them use rituals in their lives.
Mm.
And so ever since I was a kid, there was a part of me that was always very curious of how do I bring ritual into my life? And so at first it started with just repeating.
Yeah.
And then as I got older and I got to find mentors in my life, people that have taken me under their wing, they were generous enough to actually like teach me, bring more structure into my ritual.
Mm.
And then also I got to mix and match and make it my own because like you, I was a nomad for so long. And in some ways will forever be one.
Yeah.
Um, and having traveled all over the world for over a decade,
Mm.
I got initiated a lot. And so now I just got to pick and choose, I guess, the ones that landed, the ones that really helped me drop in to my core. And so, yeah, so
Mm.
lighting a candle is one of them because there's something around it that feels, it's like I'm setting an energetic boundary. I light
Mm.
it at the start of a session and then I'll blow it out as soon as the session has come to an end.
Mm.
There's something about fire. Fire is the element of truth. I
Mm.
sit in a lot of ceremony, and I've been told that the fire is the one element that you cannot pollute. You can give it all, and it will burn it.
I like it, and it can burn anything. It's just fuel for it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I sometimes find myself trying to like, I don't know if you ever have this experience, trying to break the containers, maybe testing the boundary of the containers. Like, maybe it's just in more shallow settings, like I'll sit down to start reading a book, and the intention is to like have this time, just you and a book, and you're like consuming this information on the page, and it's very easy to like, you know, fracture out of those. Um,
Yeah, I am reminded, I don't know if we've talked about this, but you and I, we met a while back, and then our first like one-on-one hangout was watching a show. And I think I might have shared with you then, but if not, I'll reshare it. My way of disrupting that container is I will sometimes look up online of what happens in the end. How does this
yeah.
show how does this show or movie end? And people hate that. I
It's
mean,
like
I'll
reading the
also
last page of
offer,
a book.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will read the last page of the book. I love the spoilers. I There's something about me that is curious of like, okay, great. Now that I know how it's going to end, how are we going to get there? That is far more interesting. And the hatred comes in when I offer to people. I'm like, do you want to just know what happens? And they go, no, I really don't.
And they're like, what is going on in your why do you want to know what happens?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, thanks for being here. Um, you gave me
Yeah.
some great advice, and that was from listening to one of these and asking me to introduce who I'm talking to, so that there's some context. Um, can I ask you to give a small intro, because I know you personally, and I know you, uh, yeah, have a multitude of, I'm gonna say, lives. Um,
Mm,
there's a lot going on for you. So yeah, how do you describe yourself these days?
mm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm Irina to start. Um, and what's been alive for me in that description as of late is being a bit of a teacher and a healer, and someone who brings everything that I've acquired throughout the course of my life onto others to help them maybe make changes in their life, transform their life somehow. I bring a lot of wisdom from different traditions that I've been fortunate enough to spend time learning from, both indigenous ways of living and also spiritual approaches. I spent a lot of time in Asia and Central America, and then also the Western approaches. So I bring somatic therapy into the world. I'm not a licensed therapist per se, but a lot of somatic therapy doesn't have the ability to be licensed yet, because how do you prove something that is so contextual to each person and subjective to each
Yeah.
person? Um, so there's a lot of like titles that kind of float through the multitudes of self, teacher, healer, um, coach, practitioner. But really, I'm just a human trying to live up to my fullest potential and really asking myself questions of how do I get there and trying to implement those changes into my life. Um,
Neat.
yeah, that's what came forth
Nice.
now. It changes each time. If you ask me again in 5 minutes, I might give you a different
I
answer.
know. I know. That's what I assumed. Um,
How have
and
you
I
been
have the same thing.
describing?
I have the same thing. It's like if you are a curious person and you're constantly learning and you're constantly moving and evolving, and the way that you describe yourself, mm, I think it's a really important thing to be able to see yourself in the world, but we don't often see ourselves as um like it's not objective, right? And I also think that people used to describe themselves by like the job that they do. They had this like job identity. Um, and I think there's like a big range of it, but I think we're coming to a time where people will less and less identify with the tasks that they do and more identify with like kind of the mission that they're on or um, and it will happen via necessity rather than, you know, the world is just moving at such a fast pace. Um,
Mm.
yeah. But you can tell when people are good at slowing down. Like, I can tell you're good at slowing down.
Yeah, wow, hearing that, I am reminded of all the times that I am not slowing down in all of the ways. And actually, I wonder if you and I am getting this ping to slow down with you and
Yeah.
um, maybe like drop in together. I noticed we
Okay.
haven't done that. We got into the call and we got right into it. And maybe we could
Yeah.
just take some breaths together.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let me let us both find comfortable seats, whatever that means to us,
Mm.
and maybe roll our shoulders up and back. Mm. And I'm gonna place my hands on my body, and if you feel called to do the same. Yeah. And maybe we can take 3 deep breaths together to start, and we'll know
Okay.
when to come back.
Okay. Mm. Hi. Land.
Hi. Yeah, same. There's a different quality, I feel now, a different texture to being here with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I feel it too. And across however many miles, you're in Denver
I'm in Boulder.
and you're in Boulder. Um, and I'm in Bali. I'm trying to do trying to see the globe, but I'm not quite sure what the tunnel is, you know? Yeah. I
Yeah.
I saw our mutual friend Jordan in LA recently, um, on my way here. And he was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going to Bali." And he went, "Oh man, that's a long way away." It's like, yeah, I didn't really think about it until I went to book the flight. I went, "Yeah, I'll go to Bali." And then I looked at the map and I was like, "Oh my God, that is such a long way." But
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah, and what has your experience in Bali been like so far?
It's been super lovely. The people are really living a different life to the States, to Europe even. I spend a lot of time in London and people are just fast. And I find it's partly cities and it's partly cultures. Sometimes, um, so the other day there was a ritual here, Nyepe or Nyepi, and it was a day of silence. And it made me want to have a day of silence every month just because, like, they turned the internet off. It was very much a slow day. Um, and then I was kind of writing about this and musing on this and realizing that our nervous systems are not built for having like constant notification, 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 this place, that place, different everything all the time, you know? How do you find you've been stationary for a little while now?
Yeah, which is new for me.
Yeah. How does it feel?
Mm. Yeah, I love this question because I was just reflecting on it yesterday with a friend. We went for a sunset hike here in
Yeah.
Boulder, and I felt really at home.
Mm.
And for context, I was born in Uzbekistan. My mom won a green card in the lottery,
Mm.
and we moved to Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. I even as a child, like from ages 10 to 20, I home wasn't really a place I wanted to be. I grew up in a very tumultuous.
You moved when you were 10?
I moved when I was 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then from 10 to 20, when I was growing up in Brooklyn, I found myself really wanting to not be at home. I grew up with violence and a lot of fighting. So I spent a lot of my time outside. That was the safe
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And then at 20, I left Brooklyn. I went out of state for school. And then as soon as I graduated, I bought a one-way ticket and I flew to Asia. And then that began
Mm.
this journey of galloping around the world. And there was a lot of purpose in it. There was a lot of intention. And there was also a lot of ungroundedness,
Yeah.
looking for a home and not knowing where home was.
Mm.
And I'm so grateful for that journey. I absolutely had it, and it was at the end of that decade, right as I turned 30, I started to really catch up to me, and I felt
Mm.
really ungrounded and lost, unsure of where home was, and thus begun a new quest, a new search of where am I going to land. And a lot of things were coming up for me in terms of like fear of commitment to a place. I'm
Mm.
sure we share that in some way. There's a like, well, what if I want to change my mind? I gotten so used to this lifestyle and I love it. I planted so many seeds around the world. I have so many friends around the world. I feel so at home in different places. And yet there was that very clear instruction to slow down and to build, to root down and have change my life in that way. So anyhow, I
Mm.
end up in Boulder and I had to work through some internal conflict of, wow, what was I really going to commit to this place? And I did
Yeah.
last year. I signed a 1 year lease. Yeah. And my 1 year lease is coming to an end in a month. And yeah, which is insane because now I got my landlord asked me, do you want to resign the lease? And all those same feelings came up. I
Yeah.
thought in my head when I was signing it a year ago that this would just be a 1 year thing. I would come, I would ground, and then I would go off to my next adventure. And I resigned. And in that resigning, I had a really big energetic shift. And I yeah, there is a different quality now, a different texture where I am no longer choosing it because I am ungrounded and I am tired and I just need somewhere to land. I am very grounded. I'm very content. I'm happy. Like life is really good. And out of that place, I am choosing to be here and I'm choosing to put roots and choosing to have this base. And I don't know what the future holds. However, I know that today I'm so grateful to call this
Yeah.
place my home and to have this is my apartment you can see in the background. I love it. I decorated it. I really made it mine. I love waking up here in the mornings. I love having my routines. And it's beautiful because there's a lot of choice here, conscious choice. I'm choosing
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Were there things that you, I love this thing about that the energy shifted and also that you get to choose to be grounded.
Yeah.
Um, I think that we often, or I often trick myself into thinking that I'll be able to imagine what something will feel like. And then I get to it and I feel it and I go, oh, the feeling is very different. I couldn't have imagined that I would feel like calm and grounded and want this. Are there are there things that you do regularly to feel grounded? Like, yeah,
Yes, I'm laughing because you're gonna laugh with me at what I'm
okay.
about to tell you. So, my favorite thing, like this is my non-negotiable. I do this every morning. I bought a rebounder, which I don't know if you know what a rebounder is. It's like a tiny trampoline. And yes, I actually I took out the handlebars, so it's it's
So it's
just this
just a trampoline.
trampoline. Just a trampoline, just a little circle, one person only. I maybe two, I haven't tried.
Debatable.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I take it out every single morning. I wake up, I grab my trampoline, and I walk outside. And I'm in Boulder, and Boulder is very nature forward, yes. However, I live in downtown Boulder. I live in an apartment complex. I am in the thick of the city. And I take my trampoline outside and I jump for 5 minutes. And people walk past me because I am right dead smack in downtown Boulder, and there's just me jumping.
Do they come and talk to
Uh,
you? Surely every single day someone's like, I'm going to talk to the girl bouncing on the trampoline.
they wave, but usually I'm up pretty early. I'm doing this at, like, 6 in the morning. I think people
Okay.
don't wanna talk to anyone. And I love it so much, like, it really grounds me. At first, it, like, activates me, wakes me up, but then afterwards, I feel so energetically up that I
Mm.
then immediately after the trampoline, I go to the grass and I put my feet on the earth, and I do your warm-ups.
Yes.
Yes, I actually wanted to thank you for that and talk about it. I that's been You started a group. You started
Yeah.
a fitness accountability group, and I joined it recently, and it's been so nice to have. I love it so much, and so I started
You're
doing
you're such an amazing addition to the group. And the things that I thought I would like out of having a group of friends that are doing fitness things is not at all what we've got. It's so much more magical than I could have expected. Like just the silliness and the playfulness. So to give a little context, there's probably, I don't know, 15 of us, and probably half are like active almost every day, kind of like playing this game where and it's kind of a silly game too because it's just made up. It's like um, we pick a word each week, and every day that you do the exercise, you get a letter. And if you get all of the letters of the week, then you get a badge for the word. And the exercise used to be to do with the word, and now it's not really, and it's constantly evolving. Um, but it's so much fun seeing like your videos or like your random check-ins from different places and everybody else's from different places as well, and all these little, especially the fast videos of everyone going like, um,
Yeah.
and everybody is so lovely. And I know everybody, and I know that that'll get along, but nobody's actually met in person or Like very few people have met in person. Um, but I know that if it ever happens in anywhere in the world, it will be uh, a party, you know?
Yeah. And for additional context, we record videos of ourselves doing that exercise in a time lapse and then upload that video to the group to, yeah, show that we did it, show our faces, show that we're showing up to movement, which has been, so foundational for me, is so important. I
Mm.
notice the days that I don't move are drastically different. I'm not as clear, I'm not as sharp. And so I love that I'm in this group with you, and also just being in Colorado, everybody is so active here. But I love that I get to move so
Mm.
much. Yeah, I'm curious for you. You started this group and you travel. You're traveling quite a bit as of late. I'm more stationary, so it's a lot easier for me to be in the routine of movement. But how do you stay so consistent with your movement, even when you are inconsistent in your place?
Yeah, good question. The group actually was an effort to be consistent and to show up consistently. And I was doing it by myself. I have been doing a plank every day for like, I don't know, 6 or 9 months. And it was fine. It was like a discipline thing. I liked it. But then I was like, you know what? I'm moving a lot and I have friends all over the world, and I would really like to do this with my friends. And maybe there is a version of this where everybody wants to do a challenge. So instead of doing it as a New Year's resolution, like a fitness resolution, I was like, all right, I understand the science of building habits. We just have to do it for a certain amount of time and then it will kick in habitually. And so I sent a message to a bunch of friends and I was like, hey, do you want to do a December fitness challenge? And so we'd been doing exercise every single day for a month when the 1st of January hit. And then the question wasn't, oh, let's like all get fit this year. It was, oh, of course we're like, what's the next thing? That was kind of the conversation. And it just evolved and evolved. But the reason that I wanted to do it was it's not about fitness for me. It's not about like the movement's amazing. And like moving every day really helps my mood, all of these things. But actually, to me, it's about having a thing to do with people. It's a consistent thing and it's a social thing. And the fact that it's movement is actually just a bonus. Um, I don't know if that's the case for everybody, like I find it can be these like really, really simple things that can teach you these life lessons or like these really important lessons. Um, and the exercises themselves, like it's definitely not my exercise. This is Qigong. We're just moving energy in our bodies with our bodies. Um, and as much as I don't like Instagram, uh, this is where I found it. I just saw people who were in shape and looked happy. Two things that I was like, hey, I would like that in my life. Swinging their arms. And I was like, oh, I'm going to try that. It looks really easy. That's the other thing, is it's so easy to like just move. And that's part of what I wanted the group to be about. Like we try not to, or I try not to say like, hey, I did this many of this thing, or I did this. It's like, hey, I did a thing. I showed up. Um, and I think that's what makes it so nice as well, is that like everybody's so supportive. Because you're in there and you're doing these exercises, but you're often in the gym, like you're often like doing real workouts as well. Yeah.
I try to, yeah.
Yeah. Did you find that you wanted to move when you were traveling? but it was hard.
Yeah, I moved a lot and my movement was inconsistent. I When I started traveling, actually, it was yoga that
Mm.
inspired me to buy that one-way ticket. My
Yeah.
my love for movement really started with my love for yoga practice, the physical practice of it. And it came into my life when I was in my late teens. I think I was 18 years old when I first went to a class and loved it. Didn't know what I was doing, and yet I felt amazing afterwards. I wanted to go
Yeah.
back. And then, yeah, I believe when I was 20, junior year of college, I had this realization that I did not want to drink anymore, which was at that time very radical, um, and different from my friend group. Like, I
Yeah.
really was going against the mass, and I didn't have anybody else to talk about this with. So it was very
Yeah.
lonely. And I found a yoga studio and started going daily. And the teacher at the time, she was a very devoted yogi, really amazing. And she noticed it. She noticed me and would, inspire me to read certain texts. And again, I was the only one doing this, but it was so fascinating. It's like I got to be immersed in this world of spirituality that felt so novel and yet so familiar at the same time.
Mm.
And she, at one point said to me, she's like, there's only so much I can teach you in this tiny studio. You should consider doing some research and maybe doing a training or finding other teachers. And she really planted this seed for me. And upon research, I learned that, I could go to Asia. And I was like, well, how do I sustain myself in Asia? I learned that I could teach English. And with that awareness, I bought my ticket and I started in Thailand. And I
Oh,
taught English initially, saved enough money, and then I began this quest of hopping around different spiritual communities and ashrams and seeking out teachers. That was my prayer is I want teachers, I want to learn from elders. I want them to teach me something that I don't know about. And like I said earlier, I grew up in a very chaotic household. So there was a lot of inner turmoil that I didn't know what to do with. I didn't have any guides.
yeah.
And yoga gave me freedom from that.
Mm.
It gave me a space to process these
Yeah.
painful experiences of my life.
Yeah.
And then as I started traveling to these spaces and finding teachers, this was all in my 20s,
Wow.
I they brought a lot of comfort. They brought a lot of clarity. They gave me a way out. And that
Yeah.
way out was yoga. And now at this point in my life, yoga was no longer a physical practice. I learned that it was so much more. It's such a deep practice of devotion, of consistency, of surrender.
Uh,
And I went on to do trainings. I started teaching when I was in my 20s. That was when my teaching career so began, was teaching yoga. And And so, yeah, so there's a lot of movement in my
uh,
20s. And then in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, had some I had a block and I found my way off the mat and I didn't move for as much for a long time. I
uh,
started being more stagnant,
uh,
more stressed. And
uh,
anyhow, to long answer, but lately, like I would say last year is when I returned back to the mat and I've been fairly consistent since then. And along then, I also added other types of movement, like hiking,
uh,
like lifting,
uh.
and dancing.
Yeah. Was there a dancing is just fantastic. Anyone that hasn't got some kind of dancing in their life, they're really missing out.
You and we met on the dance floor.
We did, yeah. But I can't remember which dance floor it is though. Was it at a 57th Street? Um,
Yes, when Jordan was DJing.
That's right. Yes. What a time. It's just like, honestly, it's an adult playground. It's like grown up playground. Come and just like shake your body around to nice music with all these other. There aren't any. There are very few places where adults just get to go and be silly, have fun, just like, not really have any responsibility except for what your job there is just to let go, which is fantastic. I
Totally.
I don't know if I should tell this story. So that day that we met, that night that we met, you gave me um what I understand, legal substance to.
Oh, Kana. Oh, you should definitely tell this story. I know where this is going. Yes. So for more context,
Yeah,
another
please, please.
job, yes. I am a somatic coach and I do work with people, and that's a big part of my life. And that's what actually prompted this conversation to begin with. I started a newsletter and I had been very active in sharing of what I'm building and doing it publicly. And I also have another job. I do wholesale and partnerships for a Kana company. It's called Ka and Pathogenics. It's a really beautiful daily supplement that works with a plant medicine called Kana that comes from South Africa. It is the happiest plant in the world, is what it is called. And it was traditionally used by the indigenous folk to go on multi-day hunts to
Hmm.
help them um, get off of to help them deal with addictions, to help them deal with any painful experiences, and to also have a really good time. Like I said, it's the happiest plant in the world. And now in modern day, what we're using it for, we're using it to lift mood, to reduce stress, to bring focus, and
Hmm.
to bring that sparkle to your life. This is a fully legal, I want to emphasize that. This is a fully legal, safe substance. It's a plant. So anyways, I
So
usually have these little tinctures around me, and I gave you some at this party.
and you said don't have this now, like wait and have it sometime that you feel like it. It gives you energy and it's quite euphoric. Um, and I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. Okay, great. So I think that was a Saturday night. And I went home and I woke up the next day and I had a date planned on Sunday. Um, and I think the date was planned for like maybe 3 p.m., something like that. And it was 11. And I went, oh, you know what? I've slept not as much as I'd like to, but I've slept enough and I'm feeling quite good. And I'm going to take this thing that Irina's given me because because it'll be nice, because it'll be a nice flow through Sunday into my date. So I have it, and then I go to the supermarket to get some things for a picnic, and I buy some flowers, and I'm at the checkout in the supermarket. I do a fart and shit my pants. Ah. And so I leave the flowers with the supermarket um, cashier, and I go home, and my housemate's like, "You're back early. How was your date?" And I was like, I'll tell you, I've got a story for you." And so I texted the girl. She actually doesn't know this, but I did send her a message and say, "Hey, I'm feeling quite unwell. I think we should reschedule." Yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
silly. Funny though.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, go ahead.
Um, it I would say a very small fraction of people. Sometimes Kana does help you go to the bathroom, right? Kana is it's a it's a natural antidepressant. It works on your serotonin system, and if there
Mm,
is inflammation in the body, most of your serotonin is produced in the gut. So if there is a lot of histamine,
mm,
Kana will lower that first. It's a very
mhm.
intelligent adaptogenic plant, so people find sometimes that it will help them go to the bathroom, and it does happen to a very small percentage of people. You are in that category, my friend. Welcome. I'm so
Whoop, whoop.
happy that you got to relieve yourself. And then that was the day that you and I ended up hanging out and watching The Summer I Turned Pretty. And
Perfect.
I actually remember that now because you sent me a voice note sharing what had happened to you. And I heard the theme song in the background of your voice note. And this was a show that I was obsessed with at that time. And I was like, no way. Are you
Oh.
watching what I think you're watching? And then we ended up hanging out.
It's so funny.
Mm.
It's also the like I just thinking about that show for a second. I realized like I usually don't even watch TV. Like the people that you're around really affect the things that are in your life, like including media. Because I got into watching that show because I was living with uh maybe four lovely girls in Brooklyn, and they were all watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I was like, "Oh, this is silly." And then after a couple of episodes, I was like, "Oh my god, is who are you?" I don't even remember people's names now. Connor and someone.
Conrad,
Conrad. Ha. Is there going to be more, or is that it?
they're making a movie now.
Ooh.
Yeah, that show actually,
Uh,
I loved it. But what's cool about it is the woman that wrote it is the
mm,
same woman that produced it and the same woman that directed it and is now producing, directing, and writing the movie. So
wow.
this is all the mastermind of one human, which I love. So inspiring to have someone like really carry forth their vision and execute it
Yeah,
to its fullest. And wow, how amazing. Like, look at what we can do.
it's incredible. And so I read this blog post today, and it was about AI and how it's changing the world, and um, it was called something like "Boil the Ocean," and that sounds really it sounds dystopian, but the intention is like people used to have meetings and they would say like, "Oh, don't let's not boil the ocean here. Like, let's not try and cook too much water. That we don't have the ability to do that big thing, that big hard thing." And this whole blog post was like, "No, let's boil the ocean. We can like if you're scared of AI, it's because you're not thinking big enough about the things that we can do, the like problems we can solve, the way that we can connect." Um, Ironically, we have lag here and you're frozen, but I think we're
Oh,
still connected. Yeah, good. Um,
I think I was just
yeah,
very focused on listening to you.
just completely still.
I
But
I
you
I
know
love
this
that.
the sentiment that like we can do hard things and we should just try with the tools that we have to like produce whatever it is we can imagine, because the amount that we can do, at least in the like thought space, is crazy right now.
Yeah. I I love that you brought this up because I have been very curious about how my friends that are building things using AI in their life.
Hey,
And yeah, I'd love to know that about you. I'd love to know like what you're currently working on and how you're using AI to help you. And maybe you found some tools and trips and hacks that would be useful for me or anyone else who is
Absolutely.
listening.
I definitely do for you and anyone else. Uh, from an ethics standpoint, I try not to use OpenAI. I'll just say it off the bat. I think that Anthropic, the company that make Claude, are a much more ethical company, and this was in the news, not making autonomous weapons, that kind of thing. So happy to back that company. Um, I am using Claude Code a lot, and I just use it on my computer in Terminal, so like literally just like typing to a text box. But today I basically built. Mm, I I did probably the amount of work that a year ago would have taken a team of engineers like 2 or 3 months to produce. Built essentially two applications. One of them is called Land Library, and it's a wiki of all of this local knowledge about a specific region in the pilots in Portugal. And then um, we've set it up so that you can talk to an AI and ask specific questions about the land, and also have it so that community members, so they've been submitting information about the particular region, so that we have like a regional specific database that people can go and add information to and then talk to. Um, the whole idea is like there's all of this knowledge that's in communities that sometimes gets passed down and sometimes doesn't. Like there are a lot of young people that are not wanting to take over family businesses or go and work the land. So um, that's one of the things that we're building. And literally, it's me talking to my computer. I will say like, "Hey, I want to build this thing. What do you think's the best way to architect it? Can you tell me about the frameworks? Can you tell me about the options?" And then usually I'll get a response back that's like, "Oh, this is how I think you should do it. We could go with option A, B, or C." And I go, "Cool, let's go with option A, but did you think about this?" And it'll always go, "Oh, good catch. I didn't think about that." Um, there's there's still issues. Um, and then the other thing that we are building, and I say we, it's me and this friend of mine, River, and he is a very good designer, and we bounce ideas back and forward and go like, let's do it like this, let's do it like this. So the other thing that we're building is a pet care app, basically. So you can have like all of your pets' medical records and appointments, and all of its health data basically, and then chat with an AI and be like, "Hey, is this normal? My test my test cat on the app is called Jojo, which is a cat that's 3 years old and 56 kilos." And the AI keeps coming back and being like, "There's something wrong with your cat. It's too heavy." It's constantly like, "We need to address this." And I'm like, "No, no, that's right. I didn't mistype it. It's not 5.5 kilos. It's 56 kilos." um, but again, it's the same thing. It's like just talking to an AI, and instead of typing, actually these days, I just hold down a button. I have this thing called Super Whisper, so I hold down a button and talk, and it types it out, and then I to enter, and then, like, I have basically a back and forth dialogue, um, and then I look at what I've built, and yeah. But the wild thing is that, like, it's almost getting to the stage where you can imagine something, and you might as well ask if it's possible, or if it if we were going to do it, how we might go about it. Um, because there are lots of things that I didn't think would be possible that actually are, and it's just like the kind of trial and error that is really interesting. Do you find, are you using it in your work at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. Yeah. I, like you, also Claude has been my go-to,
Yeah.
and let's see, how do I wanna answer this? In my work, particularly, like, with clients, with their consent, I record the sessions on my phone, and
Hmm.
then I copy the transcript and paste it into Claude, and I have a different project for each client that I'm working with.
Hmm.
And I have a specific prompt that analyzes the transcripts, looks for patterns, looks for blind spots, um, just brings this really beautiful in-depth analysis through different lenses that I feed my AI. I'm very interested in shadow work, and core energetics is the main modality I focus on, which is a body-based therapeutic approach that really allows you to move patterns through your body so that you're not just talking
Nice.
about them.
Yeah.
And so I found AI to be really helpful with that. And then I also, on the back end, my clients don't know this, but I am very fascinated with personality types. And I look at Enneagram, I look at human design, I look at character structures, which is more of a Reichian approach. William Reich was the first therapist to really put the body on the map, right? He started noticing patterns
Mm.
in his clients. So I
Yeah.
analyzed the sessions from those lenses too, to try to find what are the core fears, core desires, core motivations. And it just gives me a bit of a map. It gives me, like, I zoom out and I see what's happening underneath. I see where we're trying to go. And I hold that with awareness in the back. I don't try to influence the sessions so much, but it is profound um, for that. And then I also use it for my own research internally, and then with what comes
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Do you find that, because like really, really useful tool in a lot of ways, especially to zoom out or to see like these patterns
Yeah.
if you know what the right frames to put or the right questions to ask. Do you,
I wanna share one thing that I think you're gonna find interesting. Whenever I share this, people are always like, "Oh, that's a cool way to use it."
yeah,
I
please
don't
do.
know your experience, like, how into personality types or into these, like, models you've gotten into, but I love it. I love any model, any map. I love astrology, Western and Vedic. I love human design, gene keys, Enneagram, like, all of it. Give me. I soak it up, I experiment with it, and it's
Yeah.
really profound. So I have a project in my AI in Claude where I analyze myself through that lens. I have all of my maps and I feed it all of this data. And I actually
Yeah.
did this as an experiment on a incognito AI that doesn't know anything about me, just to see what it would
Uh-huh.
say. So I fed it my charts like, hey, look at this person that has this Western Vedic structure, that has this human design map, that has these gene keys, Enneagram, Matrix of Destiny is another one. And I plug it all in and I say, great, analyze all of this and give me the most actualized version of a person with these charts. And then
Yeah.
it does that. I'm like, great, give me a day in the life of a person that might have this. It wrote me a story that was so, like, just spot on with what I was doing. So eerie, like, to be seen like this. And
Yeah.
then I would scan it for blind spots. I would scan it for, points of growth. And then I say, now give me the 60-year-old version of a person with that has achieved all of this, has come into full potential. Give me them. And then it does that. And that is who I sometimes go to ask advice if I need it. I ask my 60-year-old actualized self that AI built for me. I have this specific project of her, and it's phenomenal.
That's
It's like I have an elder
amazing.
that's a future me. Yeah.
That's so cool. And it's so amazing that you're talking about this too, because the last person that I talked to, I usually ask the last person to give me a question for the next person that I'm going to speak to. and they don't know who's coming. Um, so the question, and I think this is a perfect time for it. The question is, what do you think the world will look like when you are 80? Yeah. And what do you want to bring with you that we have today in the world? And what do you hope stays behind?
Okay, this is a several part question.
This is
See,
a
I'll
several
start.
part. I can feed them to you one at a time, I feel like.
Yeah, let's start with the first one.
Okay. What do you think the world will look like when you're 80?
Such a good question because immediately I'm seeing this like fork in the road. There is what I think the world will look like. There is what I want the world to look like. And I unfortunately don't think that they're going to be.
Can I steer us in the direction of what you want it to look like?
Yes. I would love for there to be more respect to the land that we're living on.
Sure.
This is such a deep desire of mine, and it's a wound. I feel it every day when I after I jump on my trampoline, I put my hands on the earth and I apologize
Yeah.
and I connect and I say thank you. And this is a really important part of my practice to connect to the land and to connect to the waters. And I feel this like deep collective, like I feel shame on behalf of all humans that are polluting our waters, disrespecting our lands, and are in conflict with each other over really trivial matters if you come down to it. There's the father of permaculture, which is something that has also been a big passion of mine, but he says, though the problems of the world are becoming increasingly more complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple. And for me, the solution is the connection to the land. I think that all issues are stemming to the fact that we've lost that. And so in 80 years, I would love for that to be more central, the way that it
Mm.
was for any native people. If you look at tribes, like I said earlier, that's been a big part of my interest, my focus, my curiosity, where I put a lot of my time, effort, energy, and attention. Like I love learning from the indigenous folks, and they all have deep reverence to the land. They respect it, they pray over it,
Yeah.
they care for it. They care for it like they would for their mother, like they would for something that they love. So that's my
Yeah.
answer. That's the most
Mm.
important, I think, of all.
I love the way that you are curious about so many different cultures and the the fact that you call the Earth Mother. Um, I'm really interested in this intersection or this like these things that are over and over called the same thing in New Zealand in Māori. The Earth is Papatuanuku, which is the Earth Mother. And then the sky is the Father, Ranginui. And I was telling someone this, and I don't remember where I was. I think I was in Brazil or Mexico. Um, and I was in Brazil, and they were like, "Oh, we call the Earth the Mother as well." Um, is it Pachamama?
Yes, the cosmic mother.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, wow!" And then it got me thinking, like, how many different cultures refer to the Earth as the Mother? It must be, yeah, it must be so many.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I noticed it here in Bali too. There's a lot of rubbish. Um, and so I started talking to the AI. Hey, what tools do we have to clean up this rubbish? How are people producing different recycling methods? How could we use AI at like an industrial scale to clean up all of this rubbish? You know, are there are there new ways of tackling these problems? It's like, yeah, cool that you can make a website while you are drinking a cup of tea, whatever. Really cool if you can save the environment. Um,
Yeah. And I do think that it is a one man at a time kind of revolution. It's
mm,
very easy to, like think out there and be like, it should be this way. And it's
mm,
harder to look inwards and be like, well, what can I do in my life? Like, where can I begin to purify my own inner turmoil? And where do I bring back my connection? Where am I divided?
mm.
And start there.
Yeah. I was with a friend walking through the forest the other day. Sorry, I have something in my eye.
You're right.
I'm one with the bugs. Um, so we're walking through the forest with a friend, and we're looking at this huge tree, and I've got this fascination with massive trees at the moment. Um, and I went and hugged it, and they kind of looked at me and rolled their eyes, and I was like, "Come here, come on, come here." And they were like, "You're gonna make me hug the tree?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." So, so I was like, "Oh yeah, stand here, hug the tree." And then they came and stood with me afterwards, and I was like, "How was that?" Oh, like, that was really nice. It's like, yeah. How do you feel? I feel really relaxed. Yeah, okay. Don't let
Mm.
the connotations of like, hugging a tree ruin the experience of hugging a tree. It feels lovely it feels lovely for the animal that you are to slow down, to like be in nature. Um, One of the things that I shared with you that I'm working on, and this is something that hasn't this week taken priority because there are other
Mm.
kind of pressing things, but it's definitely the thing that I'm most excited about. It's called Nature Club, and the whole intention is to get people to spend more time in nature. Like, you just gotta go and do it. That's like, I know that I can find ways to get in nature, and I know that I can, like, um, I love going on adventures. I will go on an adventure in nature, and it's nothing to me. Like, it's no big deal. It's easy. It's fun. There are lots of people that it's not so easy to go and find a way to be in nature. So this is just a place, a platform for anyone that wants to facilitate in nature. And we're trying to make it as open as possible for like any kind of nature-based activity, because there are so many things that you can do. And if you can go and do it outdoors, if you can go and do it in nature, it just, to me, amplifies it, makes it much better. Um, yeah. So I'm excited for that. And we're in the initial phases of, we're basically working with facilitators to make sure that we have the right things in place so that they can use it and it's really easy and like a delight to use. And also so that there's enough people in a specific place before we actually launch it in that region. Because if there's, just me going, hey, I'm going on a hike on Tuesday. Who wants to come? It looks a little bit sparse. So, um,
Mm.
yeah,
I love that you're doing this very much. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a beautiful
I think
project.
it's important. It's like if you weren't going to be paid for your work, what kind of stuff would you want to be working on? Who would you want to be working with? Um, and I keep asking myself that question. I'm like, okay, like we can build all sorts of stuff. I know people that are building sales agents and marketing tools, and like, yeah, they're useful. Do I want to work on building that stuff? Not really. Like, I'd much rather build a platform where people can find awesome things to do in nature. Um, and then, yeah, like we're near rice fields here in Ubud, and my friend and I were like out for a walk in the rice fields the other day. We've been doing, instead of having meetings in an office, we've been doing walking meetings. We call them walkie talkies, and and the way that we've been doing it, this is another like kind of future way of work that is so awesome. Each of us will wear an AirPod, and we'll connect the phone to a like a Google Meet, and then have a recorder on there. So there's an AI recording our conversation. We're just walking along and chatting, and then we get back and we put it through Claude or an LLM and say, hey, what are all the action items from this? What decisions did we make? Like, pull all of this stuff out. And actually, it's automated. So I don't actually pull it out and do it. It just automatically goes through Zapier and then gets put through an AI and put into Notion, which is just where all of our kind of working docs live. So it's not extra work from us, and we get to go and have a meeting in the rice fields. Um,
Mm.
but the reason that I bring this up is like one of the nature club things is just like finding really beautiful spots in nature. And there are all these little tea houses, like for all of the farmers that are here making food, and some of them are fallen down. And we're like, oh, let's go and rebuild that tea house and then have it as like a different way that people can come and connect with nature. They can come and drink tea in the middle of a rice field. Like, how nice is that? Um, and also, other income streams for the farmers and things that, you know,
Mm.
just trying to get people into nature.
Yeah. I love that so much. And speaking of tea, I haven't told you this, but I am having a tea ceremony on this side. And I don't know if you noticed, I keep taking my kettle and moving it over, but I've got this little teapot over here and I've been using it.
So cute.
Yeah. Then I've got this little teacup, and that is what is been in the background of this
It's
recording.
really a little tea ceremony. Uh-huh. Um, what are your like, I want to ask about the teachers that you have, or the teachers, the different like kind of cultures that you love learning from. Um, but I don't know where to start. There's from our conversations, you've done a lot of travel and had a lot of teachers. Um, what I'm most interested in is like, what are the through lines? Like, what's the journey been? Did you go? Because I think a lot of people would go and learn one ceremony or one practice, like yoga. A lot of people go and learn yoga and go, cool, I really like this. How did you start to go, oh, this is interesting. I might keep going.
Yeah, I love this question because I do reference teachers a lot, and I'm very generous with that word.
Yeah.
I have a lot of teachers. Some of them might not even have known that they were my teacher.
Yeah.
And I am reminded when I was in my early 20s, I was at a festival. It was at Lightning in a Bottle, which Lightning, I don't know if you've been, but there is a lot
No.
of it's a transformational festival. And in transformational festivals, on top of there being celebration being the through line, they also source a lot of different teachers, and there's a lot of workshops, and they
Mm.
do a really beautiful job at curating that. So anyhow, I sat at a talk by an indigenous elder who, meeting him and that whole conversation was very groundbreaking for me. I got a lot of amazing gems from that, and that I'm happy to share if
Um,
it comes back. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a quick question. Indigenous to the US?
Yeah, this particular elder, he comes from Lakota tradition, several generations forth, and he's in his 60s, has been a sun dancer for 30 years, which I don't know if you know what a sun dancing is. It's
No.
yeah, it's a prayer practice, a dance where men gather and they dance for, I believe, 5 days straight with no food and no water from the time that the sun comes up until the sun goes down. And then they also
Oh my
do
God.
practices. They do sweat lodges. They pray. They will do offerings. They will tie, like they bring things through their skin and tie it to a tree and give like offerings of their skin to nature. It's difficult. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of courage, and it's a devotional practice, right? It's
Yeah.
So anyhow, this man has
Beautiful.
been
Yeah.
doing this for 30 years and is very immersed, very involved in education,
Yeah.
prayer, ceremony. Um, and this particular individual, I would say, has a lot of success in helping people find their place in the world. I would say a lot
Oh.
of these practices, what the prayers are, is to bring you into that essence of you, to ask you the questions of why are you here? What is your gift? Because we all have a gift to share, and that because of our conditioning, we forget that. And then maybe we will immerse ourselves in building AI tools for marketing. And maybe that's your mission and that's great. However, if there's a part of you that quietly whispers and says, this isn't it, this doesn't feel like the reason for my coming here, then do you dare to ask yourself the questions of, okay, well, why are you here? And then do you dare to follow that direction, even
Yeah.
if it might make no sense? It might seem like the scariest thing in the world. Do you dare to risk it? Because I think what I'm realizing that is that if you don't take that risk, you're risking so much more. And so now this particular elder 9 years ago was talking about this stuff. And what really resonated with me is he said, through your journey, like when you do this deconditioning, when you go into that essence and you sit and you make a wakefulness your mission, you will start to remember your original instructions. And
Mm.
that really landed for me. I was like, what are my instructions? And I remember making that commitment to listen and to follow, as outrageous as it might be. And there is a difference, I would say, like, not sometimes we can make emotional decisions and gaslight ourselves into being like, this is the way. And no, like, you could need to separate your ego from this too. But there is something like an inner whisper of the heart. And and so for me, that's been the practice of tuning into what is this instruction. And that's really the best way
Yeah.
I can describe it. And through instructions, I feel that I have been led around the world. To answer your question, it was, how did I come to keep going in all these traditions and learning from so many different teachers? And the best way I could describe it is I've been led. It's been an instruction that would say, okay, it would bring me to a particular person, an individual, and I would receive transmissions, teachings from them, and then
Mm.
something would lead me to then go somewhere else. And oftentimes I didn't know where I was going or why or how, but I trusted and I followed. And then I would meet the next teacher that would
Mm.
appear. And so to tie that back to this elder that I met 9 years ago, he's a special character in my life because I lost touch with him. I had this talk, I was in this workshop. It was really impactful for me. And just uh, last week, I randomly, well, 3 years ago, I ran into him randomly at a MAPS conference, which is a psychedelic conference of like 10,000 people here in Denver. And I ran into him And it was such a touching moment for me because up until then, he was just this elusive character in my life that I was like, maybe I'll never see him again. And
Yeah.
I saw him, I met him, I was so grateful, and I got his contact. And just last weekend, he hosted a Zoom ceremony for the solstice, and I attended and had a dream that night of an eagle. It was very profound. I reached out to him to help me interpret this dream, and he was so generous. We got on the phone, we talked about it, and one thing led to another. And he said, "Look, I'm looking for an apprentice." I said, "Great, that's me." So with that, I have just found my next teacher by accident, or I don't know, by following the instructions.
Yeah. By following the whisper.
Yeah. And I wanna share a nugget of wisdom that I got 9 years ago that is alive for me,
Mm.
because I've been reflecting on what did he say 9 years ago that was so profound for me. And there was a lot, but one that has been really alive for me that's touched my heart is he talked about this, importance of following these instructions and how difficult it can be. But what makes it easier, what makes this journey so much more worthwhile is to find allies in your life.
Mm.
And he asked us, he said, "Do you have anyone in your life that you would call an ally, that you would say, 'Oh, I trust this person with my life?'" And most of us were like, "Yeah, how lucky are we to have someone to say that about?" And I remember him saying, "That's cute. Who do you trust with your death?" And then
Mm.
that changed the energy in the room, right? He said, "Who do you trust to sit by your bedside when you are in your final weakest moments and you need to depend on somebody in that way? Who do you trust to be there and to hold your hand as you take your final breath? Who do you trust to make all the arrangements after you go?" Those are your death allies. Those are the people that, he invited us to look for in this life. And when we find them, to let them know of the meaning and the specialness, like to really nurture those relationships, for they are so important, so vital.
Mm.
And
Mm.
yeah, it's been alive for me because I've always been looking since that moment 9 years ago. I look for death allies, and I call them that. I let them know.
Do you get any pushback?
Sure. Um,
Yeah.
Pushback in the sense of, no. I get more people that are like, "Fuck, I want that with you too." And they get inspired, and I leave them with something. I leave them with an
Yeah.
inquiry to look at their own
Yeah.
life, of how are they nurturing their relationships? Who are their death allies?
Yeah.
And it's so nice to be held in this way, to build community in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful way to look at it. You're
Yeah.
making me reflect on mine. And there are people that come to mind. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you are so lucky and blessed.
Yeah. I am. I'm really, really lucky. Truly. One of the what comes up for me is one of the most beautiful ways that I have been blessed. I was in Portugal and it was my birthday. And I was at like a friend's community sauna, and this woman that I only had met that day, but she was very grounded and very calm. This Portuguese woman about my age. And she said, "Oh, it's your birthday." And I went, "Yeah." And she said, "Can I touch your face?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so she put her hands on my face and she looked at me and she said, "Bless you and the ones who made you." Yeah. And I went, whoa. She said, "Sometimes we forget we have these like people that bring us into the world that so that we, I don't like using the word should, but that we owe so much to, that we should be so grateful to. Just for that simple thing. Like they didn't have to have all of this extra stuff just for bringing us into the world. That's one thing. Um, And then, like you're talking about the death allies, I think it's a really nice, um, you know, as within, so without, as above, so below. Like you light the candle as we start talking and then blow the candle out as we leave. There's something really special about those beginnings and endings. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
and how can we enjoy someone's departure just as much as we enjoyed their presence, their arrival?
hmm I've been thinking about these arrival ceremonies, and I like to try and uh, understand how I like to be intentional about how I show up. And I remember one day having this uh, thinking about how dogs greet you when you arrive home. And they're always like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Where have you been? I've missed you so much. And I remember going through it. Like, I still do that to some extent, but I'm much more reserved these days. I remember going through a phase of about a year of like really trying to channel the dog every time my partner arrived home. And how much fun it is. Like, yeah, you can have all of these things that are really deep and meaningful and beautiful and intense. Like I love intensity. I love death. We could talk about, you know, death and um your people around death until the cows come home. And I also think that there's this like beautiful thing of the silliness and the playfulness and the aliveness that comes with that. Um, and they both have so much energy, you know?
Yeah. I'm reminded of, a saying, which I think also comes from the Lakota. Let me just briefly. Yeah, it is a Lakota phrase, and it is "Wani Wachi Yellow," and the translation of it is "I want to live."
Mm, I want to live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the exact, uh, um, like often when people are depressed, they don't want to live. Like there's just like, there's this feeling of not being alive, of not wanting to like really live. And you know when you want to live, you know when you wake up in the morning and you're excited about that. Oh, I get to go and do this thing. Oh, I get to, you know.
There's a key phrase in what you just said, it's "I get to."
Hmm.
When I work with clients, I usually have them go through a sentence structure to, like, elevate their outlook on life, and whenever I catch them in saying, "I can't do something,"
Hmm.
I have them go through a process to flip it to eventually get to, "I get to do this thing." So if they say, "I
Hmm.
can't sit still," I'll have them explore, um actually, can I do it with you? I think it could be cool, and it would be a
Yeah.
little beneficial little tidbit. Alright. Um, yeah, this will be fun. I am curious if there is something in your life, maybe it's a behavior shift,
Hmm.
um, a pattern that you wanna break, that you want to, and you just can't seem to do it.
Um, hmm. Um, okay. I I've got one in mind. Um, I find that I sometimes don't like finishing things.
You don't
I get, I don't like finishing things. I don't really like finishing projects. will start really strong, love it all the way up until I'll read a book up to 80% through. And the last 20% is like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to finish this book. I don't really want to finish this project. I don't really want to send this email. I'm happy to
Mm,
write it, but that last little bit,
okay. And you want to break this.
I want to break this.
Okay. So what is your
Yeah.
I can't sentence?
I can't finish things that I find boring. I can't finish things. Is that, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I can't I can't finish things. Great. I'm
you,
curious.
you trying to do my accent?
As somebody who's traveled all over, sometimes I don't even notice that I say things in different accents. I don't know if you find that. If I become like a
Yeah,
sponge. I also English is not my first language, and so things get a bit murky. Anyhow, I can't finish things.
okay. I
Yeah.
can't finish things.
So
Yeah.
cool. I'm noticing, I want you to say, like, what are you noticing about how that lands in your body? Just maybe 3 words for feelings.
I can't finish things. Um, Kind of empty. Um, Relatively shallow, and like it's a little bit of pressure right here,
Mhm.
right next to the. And I'd like to shout out also my favorite shirt, which is this woman being this witch being burned at the stake, and she's so unbothered. She's lighting her cigarette on the flame.
I love this shirt. I need this shirt.
Okay, so I don't mean to derail it. Yeah, like in my solar plexus, a little bit of heaviness or like a little hole.
Yeah. And what is a feeling that you're aware of?
Um, hmm, Heaviness, kind of lethargic. Um, yeah, stubbornness.
Mm. And how does it feel to admit that you can't finish things?
Um, Pretty comfortable,
Okay.
honestly. Yeah, pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
pretty like samey or pretty. Mm, I don't know. Unchanging. Yeah.
Okay. So I can't finish things, and we've got emptiness, dullness, heaviness, lethargic, and just like overall, like I'm sensing just like, ugh, like the body contracts upon saying this.
Yeah, yeah. Slow,
So
like stops.
great. Now I want you to say the sentence back to me. However, I want you to replace the word can't with won't.
Mm. I won't finish things. I won't finish things. Mm.
Cool.
Interesting. Okay.
What are 3 feelings you've noticed that maybe something shifted upon saying this?
Um, there's a sense of safety. Like I'm choosing not to. I won't finish this. Hmm. Um, there's also a feeling of like a deeper pulling feeling, like kind of a guilty feeling. Oh, I won't finish this. I won't finish things. Um, and kind of a rebellious feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. I love the key word there is you have choice because I can't. We're moving out of victim. There's no choice. I can't do it. I'm powerless against this thing. And then in the
Yeah.
won't, we are bringing choice back
Mm.
to our conscious system. And then new feelings come up, like rebellion. There's a bit of this like inner teenager that says, I won't do it. You can't make me.
Yeah.
And yet with that, we are still elevating you to admit that you're choosing this. You are complicit
Yeah. Yeah.
in your own behavior.
It still feels like I'm being a dirtbag, but it feels like I'm choosing to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Now I want you to say the sentence back to me, but replace won't with can.
I can finish things. Yeah. I can finish things. It's funny. It feels lighter. Um, and it also feels obvious. Like it feels like I really know. Like, oh, of course I can. Yeah.
Would you say it feels more true?
Yeah, it definitely feels more true.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And in contrast, it the the it feels like it has less tangled bits. I think I can't finish things feels more interesting because I don't really understand it because there's all of these like kind of it feels like spaghetti emotions. I can't really untangle them. I can finish things feel so simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
So the
Yeah.
next one is I want you to say the sentence back to me, but this time replace can with get to.
Mm. I get to finish things.
What did you notice about that one?
It feels exciting.
Hmm.
I get to finish things. I get to this while I'm here. I get to. And maybe some of
Yes.
my yeah, maybe some of my deaf companions will have to finish things, will get to finish things. Um,
Yeah. Would you say there's
it
a
does,
bit of privilege?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Feels privileged. It feels I get to finish things. I get to. It's interesting. It's like a similar sensation of in my solar plexus, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels like, yeah, it feels like there's some weight behind it, or like it's grounded in me, or in my chest, or in my, you know. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So I just want to point out to you that we started from feeling empty, lethargic, heavy, and now there's excitement, there's opportunity, there's privilege. You even, as soon as you said, I get you, you did like a little drum motion with your hands. There's all of a sudden you're looking at opportunities. You went from being blocked and contracted to
Yeah.
open and expanded. Now your brain is going to start getting on board with helping you think of all the ways in which you get to finish things. There's a quote I love by Osho where he says, "The mind can be the most dangerous servant or the most beautiful master." Oh, sorry, the
Mm.
most dangerous master or the most beautiful servant. Cut the previous one. And there's something true about that. Is like, how do we make our mind be our beautiful servant? And so the last thing I'll finish you is I want you to say the sentence back to me. However, this time in the present sense, as if you've accomplished it. You do it, and now this is your new truth.
Yeah. I got to finish things.
I would take away the got and I would just say, I finish things.
I, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I finish things. Yeah, I do. I do. I start a lot of things too, but I finish them. Yeah. Mm,
Hmm.
cool. I can see why you like doing this work as well. The transformation
Yeah.
of, yeah, going from shifting perspectives and the like real felt sense of, it's like I was talking about earlier. I find it hard to see what it will feel like in the future, but I think that's a very human thing. Like,
Yeah.
unless you had guided me through that whole process, I don't
Yeah.
think I, yeah, would feel that.
Yeah.
Um, so I would like to ask for you to leave a question for the next person that I'm going to speak to. Um, yeah, and I'm not going to give you any guidance on who they are unless you would like that.
No, I don't need it. I and I love that. What a beautiful way to finish things. To finish the
Yeah.
conversation after getting you to realize that you can finish things.
Yeah.
The question that I have is one of my favorite questions to ask people, actually. And it is that if you come across on your quest a treasure box, a treasure chest, and in
Yeah.
it, you will find every single item that you have ever lost in your life. What is the one thing you are most excited to pull out of that box?
Ooh, that is a great question.
Mm.
Ah, I would, I, I'm not going to ask you. I want to know one day, but we are going to wrap here. Um, I will leave you with a question
Okay.
that you don't get to answer right now, but
Okay.
text me it. Um, you get to sit under a tree somewhere in the world with two people and do some activity. I want you to think about it and tell me where the tree is and what kind of tree it is
Mm.
and who the two people are that you're sitting with and what the three of you are doing. So yeah,
Mm. Okay. I love this invitation. I will reflect on it. Thank you so much, Ty. Such a pleasure to chat
yeah.
with you.
Thanks for being here. Mm, have a lovely
Yeah.
day. Oh, also logistical thing. Just leave your browser open until the upload's finished.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Sounds great. I'm so excited to see where this conversation goes. I love seeing the ripples of the world and would love to chat more soon. I enjoyed this so much.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much that I'm like, maybe I should start doing this myself.
Honestly, this is part of the reason I started this is because it's so much fun to make the time to sit down and have like a long conversation with someone that you really like. Like, why wouldn't more people want to do this?
Mm, mm. The question I want to leave you with a question, and this is a question that I leave all of my clients with when we close out
Hmm.
the last. I asked them two questions actually. So let me see if I've got time for two questions.
You got eight
Um,
minutes.
yeah, I've got 8 minutes, and the two questions are: what is your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
Mm.
And the second question is: what would you like to celebrate about yourself from this conversation? And so those are my two.
Mm.
And I would love an
I
answer
like them.
here.
What, right now?
Yeah. You down?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, what would I like to celebrate? I noticed that I really enjoyed the way that you were slowing down, like taking a breath um and the thing that I liked about myself in that is that I noticed it, and then instead of trying to fill the space, even though it felt a little outside my comfort zone, a little uncomfortable, I was like, no, this is a quality that I really like. I'm gonna try and pick this up as well. And so although I know I didn't do it perfectly, I in real time started teaching myself a new skill based on something that you were doing.
Mm.
Um, so I'd like to celebrate that small stepping into something that I'm not used to, but that I want to get better at. Um, and my biggest takeaway is that you, when you learn things, you don't learn them from your mind. They come from your body. They come from, hmm, I realized that the, like to try and analyze this is a hilarious thing, but the knowing is not an intellectual thing. It's a felt sense of it.
Mm. Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing, my friend. I wish you a
Mm,
beautiful evening.
thank you, my friend. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I'm gonna begin my
Have a,
work day.
have a lovely day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, honey. Bye.